Hello and welcome back to Speakeasy. I am still Paul F. Tompkins, and my guest today is an actor whom you will recognize from his role as Howard on the hit television series The Big Bang Theory, the season finale of which will be seen May 16th. Please say hello to Simon Helberg. Simon, hello.
Hey.
How are you? Let's have a little handshake,
that was
right?
You did a...
I went high, you went low.
It was a horizontal... It was a very weird...
That's right. That's how it's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
And cheers. Thank you for being here.
Cheers.
We're having Sazeracs today?
Yeah, we are. Let's see how it goes. All right.
Right?
That is so right.
Yeah.
It hurts so good.
That's almost a Sazerac. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you put the double S in this baby. Yeah.
Let's go back before your success on
Was
Big
there
Bang
ever
Theory.
a time?
Can you
before
imagine
my
such
success?
a time before everyone knew Simon?
No.
Before you're on a plane sitting next to someone who's watching The Big Bang Theory?
No,
that's happened, right?
The technologies, they used to have just screens in the front, not the personal ones. So
where everyone had to watch the same thing.
Yeah, but
the Middle Ages.
Right, it was awful. But I would sometimes they would show the show, and I don't like that.
What do you do in that situation?
Well, if I'm in coach, I jump out of the plane because I just look so cheap. Yeah, no, that's I try to just look down and enjoy my meal.
And do they look at you?
It's hard to say. I think the one time I was on a plane and they announced that we were having an emergency landing, and I had gotten up to go to the bathroom, and the stewardess, I said, wait, did they just say something about, and she said, oh yeah, we're emergency landing in St. Louis. Can I just get a picture with you? And I thought, wait, if we survive this, how about you make sure we land?
I'll make you a deal.
Yeah, you get us safely to St. Louis, and then we can take some photos celebrating, or we'll do it on the ocean, on the raft or whatever. I don't understand. I felt like she was putting the whole flight's safety at risk because of my popularity.
Did you feel it was a tactic to make you feel more at ease? Like, oh, it's just an emergency landing. These are no big deal.
It could be like, when you go on a plane, you're like, oh, there's somebody famous on this plane. We're not crashing, because that would be the day the stars fell from the sky or whatever.
Of course.
I mean, that happened. They did fall, Big Bopper.
Too many famous people in one plane.
Yeah, but Cesar Millan was on that flight, and I thought, well, if the dog whisperer is here, we're not going down. Because
impossible.
It would be insane to say like Simon Helberg from The Big Bang Theory and Cesar Millan, the two most respected people maybe in the world.
A case could be made.
That's why I said maybe.
Yeah. What do you think the headline would be for Cesar Millan's death?
All bark, no bite. Or...
Makes Caesar dead in a plane crash.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just hope he's okay.
And if he's not, I'd like to dedicate this episode to the memory of Cesar Millan. Let me ask you this. You're a black belt in karate.
Yeah.
By the age of 10?
Yeah, I started taking it because of The Karate Kid, the movie.
Was that really it?
Yeah, so I started at around 5.5, and I was the first kid there, and it was, the place was run by these guys from New Jersey. Master Dominic Giacobi was the guy who started it, and by the time I was 9, I was warming up classes, and they had to call me Mr. Helberg when I was 10. I was about 4 feet tall.
Because of your rank?
I got a black belt, yeah. And then I was Simon, and I became Mr. Helberg the day that a bunch of adults from New Jersey basically just beat the crap out of me in my black belt initiation, which they did.
Oh, they jump you into the black belt.
It's an initiation. It was about 3 hours long, and they beat me up. I'm not kidding.
One at a time or all at once?
No, one at a time. Each black belt got about 10 minutes, and they could do whatever they want. They'd go up, and they'd be like...
They could do whatever they want.
It really was. They
could attack me at any
time. No, it was like one of them was like, I'll do 100 knuckle push-ups, and I would do 100 knuckle push-ups, which is 100 push-ups.
This
I
is
did on the knuckles.
On your knuckles.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Yeah, on the wood floor.
Yeah.
But just think of 100 push-ups. How crazy that is.
I don't want to think of one.
No, and also it was in LA, so like there were either these Jersey masters that would come out and initiate us, and then there were like LA actors. It was like Priscilla Presley's like ex-boyfriend, who my mom was like, he's so gorgeous. Well, he beat the crap out of me with a rubber knife. It was one of the final parts of the initiation, and we had to do 50 sit-ups, and every time we went down, they were holding the blade, which was bendy, and they would smack us in the solar plexus with this knife. And one of the guys smacking me was Priscilla Presley's ex-boyfriend.
Michael Edwards.
Yes, and my mother. Yeah, wow.
I know a few things.
Okay. So he beat me, and he kept apologizing. It was actually the creepiest thing ever because I was 10, and he would just kept going, "I'm so sorry, Simon. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
I've been hosting the show for a little while now, and I don't think I've ever said this to a guest before. I wish you hadn't told me that story.
We can edit it out, but I can't.
No, people need to know because I think that child services.
I think that I was beaten.
Yeah. You also played piano in nightclubs on the Sunset Strip.
I did.
You were like, what, 14 or something? And
you're
professionally playing piano,
yes.
jazz piano.
Yeah, I played at the Coconut Teaser, which, do you remember that place? Yeah.
Coconut Teaser was a rock club.
Yeah.
It was like hair metal bands
Yes.
would be in there, and it was just this really kind of divey,
Yeah.
gigantic place,
Big.
right?
Yeah,
really big.
it was big, and that was the first place I ever played in a rock band, and I think I was 14. And
What was the name of that band?
Orange Julius. The orange had a J, not a G. That's why I just pronounced it also accordingly. But the thing was that the guys in the band were all really, really handsome and real surfer guys. I mean, they were no Priscilla Presley's ex-husband handsome.
They were no Michael Edwards.
No, but who is? But they were all named, like Breck and Tavis and Gustav and Mavis, or whatever. They were like, it was like the Aryan Nation on the rhythm section. And they could only play really like one chord. But I was this little savant type fellow with braces.
Virtuoso.
Well, and so they would just be like, they never wore shirts and they never wore shoes and they drove vans and I would get in the back of the van and just tumble around down Topanga Canyon and then go, and then they would just hit a chord and they'd be like, solo, and then I would just solo for like 25 minutes. And I'd look up and they were like having sex on stage with girls basically while I was soloing.
And were you playing a piano or were you playing
I was playing
keyboards?
a keyboard.
Okay.
And I was really good and they weren't, and it was fine. I mean, that was an understanding that we had.
Well, how did you end up with these dudes?
We went to the same high school.
Okay.
And we were popular. Again, I think it's because of how, their long flowing blonde hair, not because of me at all, which I realized later. And then I played jazz and I played in like lobbies and.
Can I ask you, how do you end up getting that job? Do you go and do you play for the manager or something?
Yeah, I mean, okay, like there was some stuff where like I was in a jazz band also outside of school. We would play at restaurants and bookstores. I don't want to brag, but Borders. Maybe you've heard of it.
That was also a trend that I think has gone away. Where
Bookstores.
Because when bookstores started having coffee shops
yes,
in them,
we played in the coffee
they would
shop.
say, we'll have entertainment, which no one wanted.
No, and they paid us in gift certificates.
They used to have comedy
really?
at the Borders in West Hollywood.
Wow.
And you would be on stage, and there would be these people sitting around the makeshift stage who were there to have coffee and read.
Right.
Or do homework or whatever. They did not have any interest in any show that was happening.
No. We did some show. I think we played at a Thai restaurant that didn't even invite us to play there. Like, nobody wanted us there.
So eventually, you leave behind the worlds of martial arts and jazz piano.
Yeah. They were my safeties at this point.
You could always do that.
Yeah, it's always waiting for me.
And you got into acting. Mm-hmm. You did, I guess, school plays, things like that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, because you went to Crossroads.
I did go to Crossroads.
Which was a magnet school here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And Jason Ritter was one of your classmates.
He's
a former guest of this show.
Yes, I heard. Yeah, we were best friends. Actually, we became roommates in college. Mm-hmm. We went to NYU and studied acting, and the first play I ever did was with Jason. It was The Children's Hour, which is a lesbian period piece by Lillian Hellman with one male lead part, which Jason got, of course, because look at him.
Well, he's dreamy.
He is. And so it was the first thing I auditioned for, and I didn't get it, and then I found out there was a part of the delivery boy. It had like 3 lines, I think. And they gave it to this other guy who turned it down. It was too small. And so I went into the director's office and I was like, hello, sir. I understand that Peter turned down the part of the delivery boy. It is my belief system that there are no small parts, just small actors. And I'm here to tell you that I happen to be a small actor. But I think that I can really put some meat on the bones of this. Whatever. I gave this whole pitch about, and he was like, Jesus Christ, you can have it. It's a fucking delivery boy. I was literally like, I don't care. And then I just hammed it up to the point. It was the first time I was ever on stage. The whole thing is that there's this rumor that these 2 teachers, these women, are lesbian lovers. And so I just came in with these groceries and I played it. It was like Jerry Lewis, like, like I don't even know what I was doing. It was just ridiculous. And my pants were rolled up, and I had the groceries, and I went to put them on the thing, and then I like missed the table, and I put them down, and I was like, okay, sorry. And they were like, thank you, boy, or whatever.
How did the other actors feel about this?
I think they were in awe of what I did that day. The audience went wild for me, and I was like, I realize now that it was probably like the worst acting anybody could ever. It was like not at all within the same play.
It was not supposed to be a funny part, right?
It's supposed to be a part that maybe has a little bit of levity, a little bit, like, and it was a pretty serious play. There's like a suicide at the end. We did some serious plays at Crossroads. I'm telling you, my childhood was just wrought with inappropriate behavior. But
Is this a thing that you're doing in rehearsals, or are you saving it up for the performance?
I mean, I gave them a taste. I didn't want to blow anyone away, but I don't think the costume or the hair was fully. You got to save a little something for showtime. Keep them on their toes.
Were there any repercussions afterwards with his director? Like, what were you?
No, I mean, I got a round of applause. Okay, Paul?
Results speak for themselves.
I always thought, I think until even recently, that it's like if I have 12 words in this, I need to show my entire landscape of talent and range.
Yes.
So I will start the sentence crying and I will end it, laughing like a hyena because I can show you where I can take
To quote Death of a Salesman, attention must be paid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it must be, and it was.
At some point you got into sketch comedy.
Yes, I did it at Second City out here, which was sort of not a real version of that institution. It was kind of like this tacked on thing next to the Improv. I don't know if you...
Yeah.
It was more of like a school space to take classes, which I did, and then we kind of took over and did a show for like 4 or 5 years. And
may I ask the name of the group?
Oh fuck! I really wish you didn't. It's so it's so bad. It's gonna go back to Orange Julius.
They all are.
Well, we thought we were actually transcending bad and flipping around to irony because we couldn't come up with a name that.
Of course you did.
It was Ha Ha Fresh, HAJA, Fresh. Same J that was in Orange Julius reappeared in Ha Ha. Like
Which
Baja
play on
Fresh.
Baja Fresh, the chain of Mexican restaurants.
I mean, you could go there.
But still, people came.
Yes, despite that, it was chosen as like bad on purpose.
Yes.
But then people don't. That doesn't sound.
They're not at that meeting.
Bad. No. No. I mean, it didn't have a disclaimer.
But it was a very successful show.
Yeah, in its own way. It wasn't like.
Well, but you were building.
I ended up
following.
Yeah, and I did Mad TV sort of on through that, and we
How
had a
many
lot
years
of.
on Mad TV?
Oh, not even 1 year actually. Only 7 episodes. It was a very. It was not an enjoyable experience. You know what? You want to know something crazy?
Sure.
I'm happy that I have you here because it's about you.
I'm glad I could make the time.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Right before this, I was supposed to be in college. I was 19 and I stayed home mainly because I got an agent and I started auditioning, and there were a couple projects that there was a lot of interest in me for, where they like put a pin in me or whatever, and they said, don't go back to college until we can figure this out, because we really, and there were 2 of them. One of them I lost to you.
Really?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
It was the Downer Channel.
No, I wasn't on that.
You weren't?
I was on Kelsey Grammer Presents The Sketch Show.
Oh, well, I also went out for that too. But I was so young. I mean, I was, like I said, I was 19, and there was all that. And that was Steve Martin's show,
Yes,
the Downer
yes,
Channel.
yes.
And that was like the most, for me particularly, like how coveted of a thing was that to all of a sudden be. And I guess I got very, they were like, he's way too young. I mean, I really was a tiny young man, but I got very, very close to that. And I stayed home. I literally like called NYU and said, I need to take the semester off. Can't say who. Steve Martin, big fan of mine, and maybe Steve can call you guys if you're not going to give me a refund, but he wants to use me. And then I hung up the phone. And that was the beginning of just the unbelievable amount of rejection that comes along with probably anybody's story or any version of success or anything
and that
like
you never, it's absurd when you think about it, but that you get used to.
Oh, yeah.
I did want to ask you briefly about Studio 60. At the time, there were competing shows on the same network that were a behind-the-scenes look at a SNL-type show.
I think we know which one prevailed.
Yes,
The
there
other
was
one.
Studio 60 with Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be, this is the first thing since The West Wing.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And the prevailing feeling at the time, I think, was that obviously this is going to be the one that makes it.
As opposed to 30 Rock.
Yeah, 30 Rock, which is like, it's a sitcom and, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, how can you do a comedy about a comedy?
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Did you feel at the time, like, well, clearly this show is going to be the one that lasts?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really honestly think much, competitively in terms of 30 Rock. But there was all this talk, like, how can these two? And I guess if I had to choose at that moment, I would have been like, yeah, we're going to be doing all right. Like the advertising alone was, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but it was
absolutely
crazy amount.
Yes.
I mean, everywhere you drove and every time you turned on the TV. And
I'm sorry, this is your first big job, right?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was sort of poised to be the biggest thing by a long shot. Yeah. I had done a bunch of like pilots and small parts and guest stars and little things here and there, but nothing of this caliber at all. And the way it was told to me was I had auditioned very typically, like everybody else. I tested, I went to the studio and the network and all that, and it went great, and then I didn't get that. Nate Cordry got that part, and I was like kind of depressed. But then I got a call to come in and talk to Aaron Sorkin and Tommy Schlamm. It was like, they want to have a meeting with you. And it was before I went, I was like, okay, this meeting, the dream scenario is they say, we want you to be on our show. We're writing a part for you. The other scenario is like, hey, like, sorry it didn't work out, we just want to say we're big fans. Well, it was the dream scenario. They said, we want to write you a part on this show. And we know, it was very kind of like mafioso. It was like, we know there's a lot of other pilots out there. You can have your pick. You're a very talented guy, but I think, if you look at the pedigree here and you look at our reputation, I think you'll make the right choice.
Right.
It was like that kind of thing. And I was, I don't, they said, take time, think about it. And I said, well, look, you don't have to answer now. And I was like, no, yes, please. And they're like, great. And Aaron brought me into the writer's room, and it was like, had me do this impression, and he was like, do the line that I wrote for Nick Cage in The Rock. And I was like, wait, you wrote that? I had done this impression, I did this line from The Rock. He wrote it. I had no idea.
He wrote that line?
He writes one line a movie. Every movie for the last 20. No, I guess he did like a punch-up probably or something, because I don't think he's credited on that. Anyway, the show didn't quite turn out the way that it was laid out, which was it was going to be sketch con. There was going to be a huge component. I thought it was going to be the best of both worlds. You do 30 seconds of a sketch, which is always, that's the easiest thing. Yeah. You don't have to do the beginning or the end. And I'll get to do Aaron Sorkin's writing, and to a degree that was true. It just, the show very quickly became something else, and didn't do well. And 30 Rock obviously did incredibly, and yeah, so that was a moment of like, that was, I mean, I don't regret I had no control over it, but it was that moment of like, you think, oh my God, and I think everybody there did, and it just kind of went a little off the rails.
You were a part of the Joss Whedon project, Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Yeah.
Which was during the writer's strike of a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
It was kind of a watershed moment for online content.
Yeah.
People considering the internet as a source of original entertainment as opposed to just people getting hit in the balls by things.
Yes.
And it all came together very quickly, right?
It did. I mean, I got a call. I knew his brothers from high school, and they also wrote it with him, and as did one of their wives. And I went down, I met Joss, and we did a reading with Neil Patrick Harris and Nathan Fillion, and I heard the music, and I was just completely blown away in that moment. It was just at his house, and then they shot for a few days, very, low budget, and part of the impetus behind it was saying, hey, you know what, studios, like, go on strike, don't pay us, whatever, we can make content without you if we need to. And it was great, but I just thought, well, yeah, but you need the studios to get it out there, and you need distribution. And then he made it, and the website that they put it up on like crashed immediately, and it became this...
Because of so many
Yeah,
hits,
because, yeah.
Not because of shoddy maintenance.
Yeah, they needed the studios
Yeah.
at the end of that story, and it didn't go anywhere.
Right.
It was so much traffic, and it ended up winning an Emmy, and they put it out, and he owned it, and so it was a very lucrative and successful endeavor, and I think it did change people's perception of what you can do, and I think it scared a lot of probably executives, and yeah, people still are very very big fans of that.
Is there going to be a second one?
I think that everybody is down to do that. I guess if he can just stop directing these little franchises, then maybe we'll have a moment. Yeah,
These little pet projects.
Yeah,
The Avengers.
yeah. When that came out and it was like it made $1 billion over this weekend, I was like, oh, we're not gonna make it. When are we gonna make a sequel? The cool thing is you could do it quickly, probably too. I know he's so he's like a grassroots guy. I think too at his.
He would probably like to do it, right?
He would, I think, and I think everybody involved would. And there have been many, talks of what kind of medium to do it in, whether it's theater or internet or movie.
Big Bang Theory, how many seasons?
We just finished our 6th.
Wow. This has certainly changed your life, being on this show. Because it's the #1 show, like more often than it's not, right?
Yeah. It's our 6th season, and we hit our all-time high this year.
You mean creatively? Or
I think both, but I meant just the important stuff, the numbers.
Right.
Like halfway through the year, we had 20 million viewers, which was just shocking. I mean,
and still a rewarding character to play.
Yeah, the writers have done. I think part of the reason it's doing so well is because the writers have done such an amazing job pacing it and kind of peeling back layers and really discovering new facets and avenues to go down with these characters. It's not an easy thing to do. I think after 6 years, people can start getting comfortable or just start, jumping the shark and having, an alien come down. And so it stays fun for us, which is really nice.
Did you guys all bond pretty quickly?
No. Next question. No. Yes, we did. We're all very close, and I think that's part of what makes the show enjoyable. Is just
the chemistry is undeniable between all of the cast members.
What if you said except for you? Is that what you were going to say?
Why would I?
Because you made fun of my delivery boy role, and I'm just doing the same thing.
That was then.
I haven't changed.
Just doing the same thing. Is that your touchstone for the character of Howard? Is that delivery boy from the children's hour?
Steal as much attention and focus.
But that is something that you guys, I think that for as funny of a group of people as it is, there's an excellent amount of give and take with people. It's a generous cast.
Yeah, there really is a give and take. There isn't any one of us that, and I forget how rare this is because, if you do theater or anything else, there's always, you feel like there's someone who is really out there for themselves a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't ever feel like that, truthfully. It never has. You get your moments or whatever it is, and if you don't, there's
plenty for everybody.
Yeah, we're always looking to make it better for the other person and to listen. And I know that sort of sounds maybe trite, but it is really true.
Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think decency ever sounds trite.
Wow.
Simon Helberg, you're a fine person.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with me today.
Oh, it was decent.
And we meet them.
Oh, there we are.
Well, that is it for this episode of Speakeasy. I am Paul F. Tompkins. Join me next time when my guest will be a different person. Do you still have bruises on your stomach from?
They're on the inside, literally.
Internal bruises.
Yeah, no, I have internal bleeding.
Those hurt.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check back every Monday to see who I interview next. And for more info about Speakeasy, visit mademan.com.